guys, this is Sideboard giving you guys a post-tournament report of my Nekroz deck. This is a deck I have taken to quite a few locals, and since the deck came out, and two regionals, one in which I did poorly, one in which I did well, and one YCS taking place in Columbus. And so let's get into my records with this deck. I posted a terrible record in Brooklyn, and I did not want to continue. I think I went like 2-5 or something like that. It was a bad time. However, after making adjustments and like 2 locals later, I went to another regionals in the state of New Jersey, and this locals went to a little bit of a better place. First of all, there were like a little bit south of 215 players there, and I actually made the top 32, making a, what was it, like it was a 6-1-2 record, something like that, and it was quite the day. I defeated 3 Nekroz players, lost to only 1 in the top 32, and I beat one Clay Fort deck. I forgot what else I beat there. It could have been, I lost to, I think my only loss was like to Yosenju or whatever, which is such a troll deck. And then I played a few rogue matchups. I think I played Fire Fists, but I did beat 3 Nekroz matchups. And then I went to the YCS. Of course, that was 2 or 3, that was probably 3-4 weeks ago. And that was okay. I went 4-2-1, and that was a pretty good time for my first YCS, and that was really cool. And I actually just stopped because I had to leave because it was kind of like a day trip kind of thing. But the deck actually performed really well, and I'm going to be going into my ratios for each event. And hope you guys enjoy the video. So we'll go into the main deck, then the side deck, then the extra deck. So here we go, guys. We play 2 copies of Trishula. Trishula, putting this to 2 was probably the best thing I've ever done with this deck. It was the difference between Brooklyn and New Jersey. It was quite the better option. If you're not playing this at 2, you definitely should be, because whenever you make a Trishula, you want it to stay alive, you want it to stay on board, and you want to protect it, and you definitely want to do that with Trishula. And as soon as Trishula goes, you have the option of cycling it back, or you can search another one and use Mirror with Shrit. So, just being able to set up with Shrit, Mirror, and cycle with a Trishula, and then having the second one that's searchable is really, really key in the deck, and you should definitely be playing 2, my favorite card by far. Then a card I wish I still had 3 of. I borrowed it for New Jersey. I only played 2 at Columbus. Again, I borrowed the 3rd one for New Jersey. I did not have the 3rd one for Columbus. But again, you should be running 3 Valkyrias. I didn't have a 3rd Valk, so I ran another card, another tech card, which I'll get into a little bit. But 3 Valkyrias is definitely where it's at. This is like your Dante of the deck. It generates your advantage, it puts cards in your graveyard, and it gives you draw power. Also, Lavalval Chain Valkyrias is a very huge thing in the deck. Being able to stack, top deck a card, and draw it, tributing the Lavalval Chain is pretty key. So 2 Valkyrias should be 3. Then I run 2 copies of Bryonic. Bryonic, of course, will play 2 as long as it's set to 2. And then we play 3 copies of Unicore. And then we play 1 copy of Colossus. I felt 2 was too much. I loved playing 1 because of the fact that you could just search these guys, your spells out as it goes along. And again, I never really felt the need to run more than 1 Colossus. The only time you need the second Colossus is when you have your Colossus on the field with Jinlock, which if you have that on the field, you probably don't need to search anything anyway. You have your Jinlock and you can play as you draw. So 1 Colossus. Then I recently added right back in the Gungnir. I actually sided this for a little bit. I mained it before, but now I'm putting it back in, as most Nekroz players are, with Bullblader being a thing and seeing it at many of the top tables. So we are playing the 1 Gungnir. So this is it for the rituals. I have not run Decisive Armor in about a month, and I do not regret it. So if you like Decisive Armor, fine, you can run it. In Dance Princess, Decisive Armor is a searchable way to get out of Jinlock, but I found it was just too slow. So there's that. Then, moving on to the other monsters, we run 2 copies of Shrit, definitely the way to go, playing 2. Then for the other monsters, I played 3 Manju and only 2 Senju. I believe it was, yeah, Hope and I also played 3 Senju at the last ARG event, so it just goes to show 3 Senju, 3 Manju, not mandatory. You should definitely run 3 and 2 because you don't want to clog too many normal summons, especially if you're main decking Denko like I am. But I just found that if you drew into too many Manju Senju, it just would not be that great because you could search one thing and you wouldn't really be able to do much with it. So, yeah, it's a good card. Well, Senju's a great card. Manju's a great card. Senju's a good card. So, that's the ratios with that. And then we run 2 copies of Denko Sekka. Denko Sekka, just your great card. I actually, funny thing with Denko Sekka, I ordered 2 from this one place. They never sent it to me. I ordered 2 from another place. And then I just recently received the 2 from the other place before, and they gave it to me for free. And so now I have 2 more Denkos for sale if anyone wants them. But I'm main decking 2 Denkos. But also really good. If you ever run to Tellar Knights, anything like that, you definitely want to run 2. And then I run 2 copies of Maxi, and probably the MVP of the non-outside of the rituals. Definitely, you should be running this card over Valor, definitely. And then I run 1 copy of Gen X Elite Birdman. Being able to go into Clearwing and Black Rose throughout the events is really cool. And Jinlock will always be a thing. So, 1 copy of Jin. And then we move into the other spell. Here in the other spells, we run 2 copies of Mirror, 2 copies of Kaleidoscope, and 2 copies of Cycle. So, obviously, you're going to run these ratios. Nothing will change unless something gets hit, which I pretty much doubt, but we never know. So, that's that. And then on to probably the biggest tech card outside of Birdman in my whole deck. I run 1 copy of Rank Up Magic, the 7th one. Now, you're probably curious to how this is good at all. This card is actually really good. I might do a discussion video based around this card. And this card is an inconsistent card. You're right. However, if you're running it in a very consistent deck, you're really not hurting the deck so much. In fact, you're really only increasing your power and one-upping your opponent in the mirror match. You're really just making that C101 is just so crucial, and the fact that you can run this is so good. And again, you're searching most of your stuff, so if you're not opening it, you're definitely going to draw this card. You know, it's a one-of, but it's a really cool one-of, and I enjoy playing it. So, 1 copy of the 7th one, then 2 copies of Rhoda, 1 copy of Prep, and then your Jin outs with 1 Raigeki, 2 Dark Hole. Then, of course, we mainboard the 2 MST, and probably the other MVP, Solemn Scolding. You have to play this card. This card is really good, and it's so good protecting your Jin locks. But it's also, like, you don't want to activate this card during your opponent's turn to negate something. You want to activate this card when you're trying to go for your OTKs. Like, you're using this card, like, Yosenju's secret move almost. So, this is probably the best card that you can run for a trap. Then we move into the sideboard. We run these cool tokens right here, Kribo tokens. Then we run a very interesting choice for my side deck. I played 2 copies of DD Crow. My side deck is very different than the most side decks, but this card is really good because a problem in the Shadal matchup, I think I ran into 1, I beat it, because I just kept on, like, the games 2 and 3, I would just keep on DD crowing their El Shadal fusion, and they couldn't recycle it back with Construct, and it was just so hard for them to get over. And of course, you're going to side this in the mirror match, being able to banish your Shritz. It's like a 1-for-1, so it's a pretty good card. I like DD Crow. And then I run a card that I'm going to be doing a discussion video on, Prohibition. This card was absolutely phenomenal throughout the event, except the mirror match. This card's relevant against every deck, because probably the most relevant is against Clayfort, because if you're calling Scout, they have 2 Scout and 3 ways to search Scout with their 3 copies of Summoner's Art. So, very, very practical in the Clee 4 matchup. Again, Shadal's El Shadal fusion, it devastates them, and they have to send Dragon to the graveyard off something to get up. But again, that's very hard to do if they don't draw into Sinister Shadow games, which is a slow card as it is. So 2 Prohibition is actually really good, guys. I'm going to be doing a video on Prohibition, so watch out for that. I run the 3rd MST. Then, for the rest of the sideboard, it gets even more interesting. I run just traps. I run 2 copies of Mind Crush, 2 copies of Fairy Wind, 1 Bottomless Trap Hole, 1 Vanity's Emptiness, 1 Compulsory, 1 Solemn Warning, 1 Ring of Destruction, and 1 Torrential Tribute. I basically make this deck like an anti-meta deck. Games 2. Just 2. In the mirror match, because the mirror match is the one match that you have to watch out for that you're not vulnerable against. I'm sorry, it's blurring right now. There we go. But it's a really, really practical way to play the mirror match, because if you side everything in game 2, they'll have no answer for it, because they always side out their MSTs, and so will you. And so they have practically they take out Denko, they take out MSTs, they do not put in Royal Decree, and then you automatically almost automatically win game 3. Gives you a distinct advantage, and it actually basically out mentally performs your opponent. I guess that's because it outwits your opponent is what the better term for that is. You are absolutely throwing your opponent off, and it worked every single time, and you guys should definitely try this. It does definitely hurt the consistency, but you're throwing your opponent off enough to get them away from their plays and kind of have to play at your pace. So definitely very good trap lineup. I really like it. So that's the sideboard. And again, Prohibitions, DD Crow, all very important. So then on to the extra deck. Of course, Lavalval Chain. Also, another card I didn't have for the YCS was a 3rd Valkyrius and Daijutsu Emerald. Emerald, again, I also borrowed from a friend in the regionals. That's why I probably did so well. And I guess I did okay at the YCS going forward to a 1 drop. But Lavalval Chain, very good. Basically, I replaced the Emerald with Bistola. That was okay. This is actually a really good card if your opponent has no cards in their field and you're expecting them to search out a spell. So, Bistola, very good. Castell, then Diamond Dyer. Of course, all essentials. Cowboy, I actually won a match because my opponent didn't have Cowboy. Evil Storm Exciton Knight, really good. Number 80, Rhapsody Berserk. You should definitely try to make this at least once in the mirror match. And then I play 1 101 and 1 C101. This is the only rank up magic target I play. So, of course, if you just draw it, reveal it, activate it, and you get to special summon this for free. And if you don't know what this does, you basically, once per turn, without detaching, just target one special summon monster on your opponent controls and attach it to this card as face-up Xyz material. When this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, while it has Xyz material, you can special summon this card from your graveyard, then gain 2,800 life points, which is the original attack of the card. And, of course, you have to have number 101 Silent Honor Arc in the graveyard, which you always will, to activate this effect. And it can attack for the rest of the turn if it's special summoned this way. Wow, this card is a really good card. I think it's really underrated. I think if you can make this with a simple draw of a card, I think it's really good. Again, very inconsistent. However, if you draw it, it's just a great way, just a great card. And so, 101, and then 103. Just a phenomenal card against Rogue. I think, it won my Fire Fist matchup pretty well. And then for the Synchros, I play 3 Arclight for Unicorn. And then I play 1 Synchro Dragon and 1 Black Rose Dragon. Both of these were really good. Basically, you should always go second in this deck, especially if you're main decking Denko Seka. But if you do open up with Kaleidoscope, Manju Senju, you could just... and Birdman, you basically normal summon Manju Senju, search Unicorn, or a way to get Unicorn, or a way to get Kaleidoscope. Summon Unicorn of Kaleidoscope or Arclight effect, add a Valkyrius, then return the Manju Senju so you can use it again next turn to your hand, and special summon your Unicorn, your Birdman. Then you now have a Birdman and a Unicorn, and you would basically just synchro into clear Black Rose if you want second to clear the whole field, the back row and stuff, and Clear Wing, which actually won me a match against, I believe, it was a mirror match, and you can just defend your opponent off for a very long time. They can't touch your rituals. It's a very good way to defend yourself. And of course, Black Rose, just this Black Rose explodes stuff, blows stuff up. And remember, if you do Black Rose, you have a clear field. You can search your mirror. You can search one mirror if you just have Kaleidoscope, but you could have more. And then you have also Manager's Center to use again next turn. And of course, you have Valkyrius to block attacks. So a very flawless strategy to enter a mirror match and or any match. And then I just play the 5-headed dragon as the one Valkyrius Unicorn fodder stuff. So anyway, guys, that's my deck profile. I hope you guys enjoy it. And this is my post-tournament report, kind of going into national season Nekroz deck profile. I hope you guys like it. It's a little bit different from the usual stuff you see on YouTube. Maybe not too much, but a little bit. So anyway, guys, thanks for checking out this video. Hopefully you can subscribe to my new channel. Of course, new intro, new stuff, new banner. Getting certainly revved up for this upcoming summer season. Hopefully changing things up with the channel. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. My name is Hank Saber. You're watching another Saber Selections production. See you guys next time. Deuces. Peace. Don't forget to friend me on Facebook, join my group, The Titan Takeover, as well as the Ignoble Lifestyle Facebook group, and subscribe. Thank you, guys. Peace.